Many people spend their entire lives chasing money, without realizing that they have always been stuck at the same level of financial mindset. They work more, save more, sacrifice more, and still have no time, no freedom, and no peace. There is a reason for this. The truth is that most people never evolve mentally when it comes to money. Only those who reach the last level understand what it means to have true freedom. Freedom of time, choices, and purpose. In this video, we will reveal the 5 levels of financial mindset and show why only a minority reach the top. Those who understand this change their lives. Those who ignore it remain stuck in the same place. So, if this journey makes sense, like it, subscribe to the Shrewd Mindset channel, and activate the bell. The mind opens first. Money comes later. Level 1. Survival. This is the most crowded and the quietest level. Quiet because those who are here rarely talk about it. They are ashamed. They are afraid. And, above all, they are tired. Here, the only priority is to make it to the next paycheck. There is no room to think long-term, about freedom, about opportunities. Everything revolves around a cruel equation. How much comes in X, how much goes out, and the accounts never add up. It's not that the people here are not intelligent or hard-working. In fact, many are incredibly hard-working. But they are exhausted, because the effort they make does not translate into progress, only temporary survival. This is the level where the brain is always on alert mode. Anxiety is constant. Every bank notification scares. Every new expense feels like an attack. And perhaps the most painful, time becomes the enemy. Because the month goes by quickly, the bills pile up, and dreams are put off until later. At this level, any unforeseen event, a medical emergency, a flat tire, a late salary, becomes a disaster. There is no margin. There is no breathing room. There is only the now, and the pressure to keep everything going. Once again. And the system feeds this. It says it is the person's fault, that it is a lack of discipline, that all you have to do is spend less. But the truth is that those at this level have been trained to live like this in an eternal feeling of scarcity, where thinking big seems dangerous, almost forbidden. And the cruelest thing of all, millions of people live here and think that this is the best that life has to offer. Level 2. Security. This is the level where life begins to breathe. The bills are paid, debts are under control, and the fear of the end of the month is no longer so overwhelming. The salary covers the basics and even allows for small pleasures. There is a false sense that I have reached where I needed to be. But there is a subtle trap here. This security is as fragile as a soap bubble. Everything depends on a single source of income. A cut in the company, an unexpected illness, a divorce, a market crisis, and the castle collapses. At this level, what sustains stability is not freedom. It is the routine that works perfectly. The problem is that the routine is not eternal, and those who live here tend to confuse stability with prosperity. Habits begin to emerge that give the appearance of growth. The new car financed in 60 installments. The cell phone replaced every year. The clothes with brand labels, paid for with a card. Everything seems under control. But behind every purchase there is a reason that few admit, to prove that they are winning. Here, external validation becomes fuel, and without realizing it, many people become prisoners of their own image. They work to sustain a lifestyle that only exists to impress. This is also the level where fear changes form. It is no longer the fear of lacking the basics, but rather the fear of losing the standard that was created. And this fear hinders evolution, because any risk, no matter how small, seems like too much of a threat. The focus stops being on growing and becomes maintaining. Maintaining the position, maintaining the standard, maintaining appearances. But the truth is hard. Those who live only to maintain never break the line of true freedom. They are safe, yes, but safe as a cage with a lock on the inside. Now life has flavor. Debts are behind us. There is control, clarity, and even pleasure in dealing with money. Investments have started to grow. My name is clean. My bank account has room to breathe. The car is paid off. Maybe the house too. Conversations change. It's no longer about paying bills, but rather where to invest or what will be the next trip. It seems like the top of the mountain. But it's not. This is the most comfortable level, and for that very reason, one of the most dangerous. Because comfort anesthetizes. Many people stop here thinking they've won. Life is good, better than it used to be. There is pride, and it's legitimate. After all, getting out of trouble and achieving a peaceful routine is a huge achievement. But this feeling of "I've arrived" hides an almost invisible trap. You still depend on your work. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. If the company goes bankrupt, if a family member gets sick, if a crisis happens, the structure shakes. And the most curious thing, those who are at this level already know that freedom exists. They have read books, watched videos, and are familiar with the concept, but they live as if this were something for millionaires. A new illusion then begins to emerge, that comfort is freedom. But comfort is just a step. It is better than survival, much better than security. But it is still not true freedom. Those who park here trade time for money, but with softer pillows. Vacations are planned, yes, but they need to fit within the budget and the number of days. Investment exists, but it still does not generate enough income to sustain the lifestyle. Free time? It is still conditioned by someone's schedule. And the most curious thing, at this level, people are afraid to take risks and lose the comfort that they worked so hard to achieve. Why else, they say, but behind this question, there is often a greater fear. What if I try to climb higher, and everything falls apart? This is the dilemma of comfort. It seems like the end of the road, but it's only halfway there. At this point, something profoundly changes. The old equation of time for money begins to be replaced by something much more powerful: money for freedom. This is where those who have decided to play a different game are born. It is no longer about comfort, status, or lifestyle. Now, the focus is on planting seeds that multiply on their own. The mindset expands. Every dollar is seen as an employee, a resource that needs to be trained, allocated, and sent to work tirelessly without excuse. This is where entrepreneurs with purpose, investors with vision, creators of real assets emerge. People who build something that continues to grow even when they sleep. It is no longer about thinking about how much I can spend this month. The question becomes, how can I turn $1,000 into $5,000 without selling my time? The first signs of freedom appear: passive income, profitability, profits. Some months of the year are already covered by dividends, royalties, or business profits. But be careful, this level is exciting and dangerous. The higher you fly, the greater the fall can be. Investing without studying, expanding without strategy, undertaking things in a hurry, all of this can cost you dearly, very dearly. Here, haste becomes your enemy. Because this is a long-term game. It's not about getting rich overnight, but rather about building a structure that's solid enough to last decades. This is also the level where discipline is tested, because the money starts to arrive. And with it, new temptations arise, unnecessary luxuries, emotional bets, comparisons with those who are further ahead. But those who understand the game refuse shortcuts, reinvest, learn, grow methodically. At this point, the focus is no longer on appearing rich. It's on being free, not tomorrow, not in 10 years, but increasingly with each step, with each strategic decision. This is where freedom starts to show itself to be real. But it's still up ahead, at the next level. Here is the top, but it is not a noisy top. There are no fireworks, luxury cars, or applause. What exists here is silence, peace, choice, the purpose. At the fifth level, money is no longer a daily concern. It works, turns, multiplies even without your direct presence. There are multiple sources of income. Some come from investments, others from businesses you have built, but they all work without you having to exchange your time for them. Time becomes yours again, and that changes everything. Now you wake up because you want to, not because you need to. You choose what you do with your day, and this freedom transforms you. Because deep down, this level is not about money. It is about regaining the right to live with intention. People who reach this level usually go through an internal transformation. They discover that real luxury is not an expensive watch. It is being able to say no to everything that doesn't make sense. It is being able to say yes to what matters, even if it doesn't bring in any money. At this level, many people choose to live simply, not for lack of options, but out of awareness. Value is no longer in things, but in experiences, in real connections, in what leaves a trail and not just an extract. This is where mentors, guides, and legacy creators are born, not because they want to prove something, but because they can truly contribute. They have the time, energy, and clarity to impact the world around them, and they know that true wealth is transforming freedom into meaning. The curious thing, those who reach this point often go unnoticed. They don't drive the most expensive car. They don't live in the flashiest mansion, but they carry something rare in their eyes. The tranquility of someone who doesn't depend on anyone, on anything. Freedom is not about running away from work. It's about choosing how to live. And when that happens, money stops being an end. It becomes just a tool, a bridge to the life you chose to build. Do you know what the greatest enemy of freedom is? It's not poverty, nor the lack of opportunities. It's comfort, because comfort is silent, discreet, and dangerous. It makes you believe that you've won, when in fact you've just changed cells. Now the bars are invisible, made of routine, bigger bills, sophisticated responsibilities, and a false sense of security. This is where many people stagnate. They think they've gotten there because they have a better car, a nice house, an okay income. But they don't realize that they still desperately need the next paycheck, the next client, the next bonus, because deep down, life still hangs by a thread. The trap is in the pattern. You work hard to maintain a lifestyle that, deep down, doesn't bring peace. But giving it up? It seems crazy, after all. It's all good, right? This is how the level of comfort turns into an emotional prison. People start working not because of what they want to achieve, but because of the fear of what they might lose. And this fear paralyzes them. It stops them from taking risks, from creating, from growing. It stops them from investing, from studying, from exploring new paths. All so as not to lose a stability that, in practice, is illusory, because all it takes is a crisis, a layoff, a health problem, or a simple change in the economy, and everything falls apart. This is the most treacherous point of the journey, because here the pain is not visible. There is no despair, there is no drama, just an uncomfortable silence, a void that neither the new smartphone, nor the international trip, nor the $3,000 sofa can fill. And while the person believes they have arrived, true freedom has not even begun. Leveling up is not a matter of luck. It's not about waiting for a promotion or winning the lottery. It's about becoming someone who thinks like someone who is already at the next level. Because those who move up from within first. The most common mistake? Thinking that moving up a level is just about earning more. But if the mindset remains the same, new money only feeds old habits. It's like filling a leaky bucket. So here's a simple and hard truth. If you want to move up a level, you need to change the questions you ask. Questions that bother you, that take you out of your comfort zone, that force you to stop living on autopilot. Is what I'm buying bringing me closer or further away from freedom? We're not talking about cutting everything and living like a monk, but rather about understanding that every choice has a price and an impact on the future. Every purchase today could be a lost investment tomorrow. What can I do today that will generate income tomorrow? Most people trade time for money and spend it all. Those who move up a level think differently. They create systems, products, assets, partnerships. They plant seeds that will flourish even when they are asleep. Am I building something that will continue to exist even if I stop? If the answer is no, you are still a hostage of the clock, of the schedule, of the energy. The next level requires autonomy. It requires vision. It requires thinking like a creator, not like a simple operator. And there is more. Moving up a level requires the courage to unlearn, to abandon old advice, to say no to things that once seemed like success, and yes to things that perhaps no one around them is doing yet. Those who can look at themselves honestly, answer these questions and adjust their course. Move up, not all at once, but step by step, in a solid way, and with no turning back. Many people want to go from level 1 straight to level 5. They want instant freedom, financial independence in record time, but there's a name for that: illusion. And when that illusion is shattered, it hurts. Because then come the scams disguised as opportunities. Those investments that promise surreal returns and disappear overnight. The pyramid schemes, the miracle traders, the gurus who only get rich by selling the promise of wealth. There's a price to be paid for rushing. And usually, that price is all the person has. And do you know what's crueler? It's not just the money that goes away. It's the self-confidence. It's the time that doesn't come back. It's the shame of having been fooled again. Because the pain of taking a false shortcut isn't just about the loss. It's about the feeling of having been naive, of having tried to skip the steps and having fallen head first. The truth is simple and uncomfortable. Freedom has no shortcuts. It is a path, made of discipline, vision, patience, made of mistakes but also of learning. And do you know what few people tell you? Those who climb slowly climb with a foundation, gain confidence, knowledge, clarity, build something that resists crises, changes, the winds of the economy. Those who try to fly before learning to walk usually fall badly, but those who respect the process one day fly higher than they ever imagined. There is a truth that cannot be ignored and that scares many people. A person's financial life begins in the mind, because no one is born at level 5, and no one is pushed there by chance. Freedom is never an inheritance. It is a construction. And the main building block is called mentality. What separates someone who remains trapped from the person who achieves freedom is not luck, not talent, not a diploma. It is the way this person sees the world. It is the way they react to chaos, how they position themselves in the face of temptations, how they make decisions when no one is looking. It all starts in the invisible. Before the bank account changes, it is the way of thinking that changes. Before the wealth grows, the person learns to say no to immediate pleasure, no to comparison, no to the old self. And the most surprising thing? This power is available to anyone. It doesn't matter where you came from, how much you earn, or what you've been told up until now. The difference between those who rise and those who sink is not in the circumstances. It's in the silent choices, in the discreet habits, in the discipline that no one applauds. It's the choice not to spend everything, to learn, even when tired, to try again, even after falling, to change course, even when everyone is going in the opposite direction. And the best part? When the mind expands, it doesn't go back to its old size. What you learn, no one can take away from you. What you build internally is reflected externally sooner or later. So, no matter how far away level 5 may seem, the first step is within reach of a thought, and it only depends on who decides to think differently today. Now that the 5 levels are clear, stop and think honestly. Which one are you on today? And, most importantly, do you want to stay there? Or are you ready to move up? There is no right answer. There is only the decision to stay the same, or to finally do something different. Maybe it hurt to hear some truths here. Maybe it was like looking in the mirror and realizing that the comfort zone is not so comfortable after all. But sometimes it is precisely this discomfort that ignites the beginning of a real transformation. Because no one is going to give you freedom on a silver platter, but no one can stop you from achieving it either. So, if this message has touched you, provoked you, made you think, like it now, subscribe to Shrewd Mindset, and share this video with someone who needs to wake up. Someone who is stuck in the cycle but has the potential to break it. Here, we talk about money, but deep down, the conversation is about choice, about identity, about who you want to be when no one is watching you. The journey to freedom begins in the mind, and it only ends when you have control of your time, your life, and your destiny. And if you want, we'll see you at the top.